Welcome. So we were working on React Router DOM and we added protected routing. At this point, so the URL is being rendered as I change the path here. So we need to do a couple of additional work in order to make this application CRUD ready, and of course we are trying to add Ajax calls and with the Redux capability. So in order to make it, we are going to need a navigation bar so that the views can be loaded as the user press on the links. So I'm going to add a little bit of Bootstrap work in this example so that we'll add a NavBar and the application let it look a little bit better. So let's do that. First thing, I'm going to need a header. So let me create a file called header bar. This is going to be a normal React component. Okay. Default class. Just an idea, because I'm going to host all the navigation links here with the render function. Okay, so let me have a React fragment ready to group them. So okay, not required I hope. Let's see the Bootstrap section. So how a typical navigation. So I'm in the Bootstrap in the documentation section. So go to the components. There is a NavBar. So I'm planning to add a similar NavBar to my application. So let me make it slightly simple. I think this is somehow fine. Let's copy the code and add a NavBar. Okay. So the anchor tag would expect in ReactJS, JSX, the anchor tag should have a value or valid attribute, values defined. Probably I'm not going to use an anchor tag because I'm going to give the job to React Router DOM. So let's give it student records. It's our application name, something like that. And more importantly, everything has to be changed to class name. Let's move them. There are a couple of anchor tags are there. We will change them. Okay. So this one I'm going to make a React Router DOM's NavLink. So the NavLink is a kind of anchor environment with but it has certain decorated attributions such as activeClassName. I'll show you how. So just we are going to, instead of anchor tag, we are going to use NavLink. Use the exact 2. If it is that, home. We're going to call it home, and I'm going to call the class name instead of, that's a Bootstrap dependent. Okay, and also it has one attribution called activeClassName. That's very important. And this one we are going to move from here to here, so we can get rid of it. So any URL, whatever we see, we are going to replace it with the NavLink. So NavLink is taking a couple of active class name, and whenever this particular path is found, the active class would be applied. So same thing. I'm going to have view all. So the exact, we don't need it. Similarly, something, and we don't have much link at this point, so let me format a document. So we have a header bar ready. Let's see how it is going to look. I'm going to go to the view all section, trying to replace it. I'm going to need a grouping called the header bar, then the usual stuff with the container. As we all know, it doesn't add a padding or margin. A little bit of this thing. So like 8 with the offset value. So 2 columns, this will be pushed to the right, and the rest will be 2 columns that will be appearing on the center. Okay. Here the table we plan to display, but instead of table I plan to use some other. Okay, we'll use a list group. Yeah, this one like this. So let me copy this one. Okay. Okay, so until we call the web services, so we need to keep some dummy content. Let's name it test. Let's see how it is looking. See that we got the navigation bar added and the list is ready for single list. Okay, and we'll also need to add the rest of the, because the header is not there for other components, so we are going to add the header for all the components. So the same procedure what we did. Okay, maybe up to here. I'll copy, go to edit. Be careful when you're copy pasting, the nesting might be lost. So I'm just adding the nesting part, though it identifies. Okay, and the header bar import has not added. Okay. So they added it. Now if you see that when I click on add edit, see this one got highlighted. You can move between them. Okay. Let's do the same for home. I'll just copy it, entire thing. Go to the home. Okay. Okay. Now we have a header bar adder. Okay, I think things are looking a little lame. I'll slightly style it. Let me go to the NavBar. Any color schemes available? Let's see. Ah, yeah, here it is. I think this one looks fine. Just copy the class. Go to the header bar. I'm just going to change it with this one. Okay, I think now it looks slightly nice. Okay, view all dummy list is there. Add student, we need to add a form there. So let's add the form. Form group with a label. Okay, let's refer the API document. For adding a student, need a student name, roll number, subject, and so there are four properties needed. So I'm going to say name. Sorry, type is text. I'm going to keep a name attribute because it's a form. Class. Okay. Same thing for roll number. Subject. Okay. And the last one seems to be what exactly? It's some looks like a checkbox. We'll keep a pass, student pass, something like this. So I'll keep a checkbox. We'll ask pass, and finally the button. Keep it to the rightmost direction and click save. Keep the text save. Let's see how it is looking like. Okay, now the form is ready for us. So the user will enter the name, roll number, subject, and click the pass or fail. If it is unchecked, assuming the fail student, something like that. And the save button. So since the save it's a form, we need to add one more function. Because the form will be, or as soon as the user press the save button, the form will be calling the server, which will in turn refresh the page. So we need to prevent this. So instead we are pointing to a function. That's good. So now we have a form, view, and home. Okay, and looks fine. Let's also add a logout button over here. Okay, now we can add a logout. Okay, for login also we'll add the header. Then we'll think about, so header bar, and then move all this block. In the header we'll add one more button. I want to appear the button to appear exact to the right, so let's add one more unordered list. the class name is going to be the same thing, NavBar nav. Okay. In order to push it to the right, ML auto is the one need to be specified. A list item with the same stuff. We'll add a NavLink pointing to login page. Okay. Now see that there is a logout button present, but whether it's working or not, we'll need to see. Yeah, it takes me to the login screen, but I think it didn't really log out. Okay, assuming if it is logged out, there is no sense to display these URLs, because when the user actually logs out, these two URLs cannot be accessed, because that's a condition we have written here. Hope you know we have a protected path, routes have been specified. So we need to do a couple of conditional rendering here in order to display the protected, in order to remove them, because for a login these menus doesn't make sense. I need to hide it, so I need to do a couple of changes. First thing, going to login. Whenever the login page is called, we can make sure the user is logged out. So I'm just going to remove item in the JWT, that's where we store the tokens, we empty it. So the moment the local storage identifies there is no value, let's go to the header, we'll add some conditions in order to hide them. Yeah, these two we don't want to display, so the conditional rendering, local storage, get item. If JWT is found, again these two items are there, we need to group it. So React fragment. If not, don't display anything. So I'm going to move these two guys. Side. So let's see them. Yeah, so now it's logged out. The menus are not displaying. Let me log in with a known credential admin@admin.com. We shared the username password already. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 hash. And I'm hitting enter. Now we see that user is seeing the view all, the rest of the links. As soon as he logs in, it sees this additional link, but when it logs out, these two will be displayed. Okay, now it is logged out, there is no point of displaying logout again. So what I'll do, I think here also let's add one condition. If the user is logged in, fine, we can display this one. If the user is logged out, instead of login, we can, or log out, we can say login. Now we see that, so it just changes to home, so I can very well move between the home. I cannot, even though I intentionally call the view all page, I won't be shown, I will be redirected to the login page. So let me log in admin.com. Click login. Now I could successfully log in. I can see the forms, the rest of the links, with the logout button. So this is a kind of blueprint for password protected pages. So we just protected the each page, or in this case view all and add student, with the password, and of course those views will not be shown until the user logs in. And we made a navigation bar to appear which hosts the NavLink and also carries the active link. So application now looks pretty uh, nice and cool. So now we can go ahead and add the store capability and Redux store capability and a couple of Ajax calls. So we'll see them in the next section.